And we're live here on YouTube. I'd like to welcome those listening in podcast line. And also my buddy Rich. Rich, how are you doing this fine evening?
You know, a little better.
Good.
So, caught some sort of bug Tuesday night where I was out sick on Wednesday and
You
just
called
slept
in?
all day. Huh?
You called in?
Yeah.
Wow. Folks, this is rare.
I was just running a fever. I don't know if it was a fever or just wore down, and so slept all day and was good enough for Thursday, and feeling a little bit more like myself today. So.
Good. I'm glad you're feeling better. Yeah, it
How
was
your week?
It was a weird week.
Okay.
I accidentally wore shorts to work one day.
Okay.
So last week we got an email that essentially said if the feels like temperature is under negative 25 and it's projected to be lower than that, we'll do a 2-hour late start and then I'll reevaluate and we will make a call before 9 o'clock, because if by 9 o'clock it's not going to be above negative 25 feels like temperature, we're going to have to cancel school.
Okay.
So Tuesday comes along. Monday, we have, for all of our teachers, we have stuff. We had our in-service. And then Tuesday, I take my kids to school. I put pants on. I was being a responsible adult. It was negative, like 35 wind chill. I don't want kids to think that, so I take my kids to daycare. Get them in, get everything ready to go home, and I'm looking at everything. We're not going to have school today. I throw shorts on. I'm going to be home. I'm going to work on the 3D printers because I got both of them. Both of them will be working hopefully in the next 2 weeks or so. So I was going to do that and then work on some other things, get some things buttoned up down here so we're ready to go because we're having some construction done this week. Just looking forward to all of it. It's going to be a great week, right?
School doesn't get canceled on Tuesday, did it?
So I'm relaxing, watching some TV. I look down, it's 9:10, and I haven't gotten a message saying school's canceled. And I'm like, I need to be at school in 20 minutes if we're gonna have school today. So I throw my jacket on and I run out the door, and it's about halfway there that I'm like, I'm still in shorts. I'm that jerk that's telling kids to wear shorts to school on a day that it's negative 25 with a wind chill.
Okay. So were you kind of wearing like a PE teacher?
No.
Not even that. Okay.
No, I was in my normal everyday shorts. So they're fairly professional shorts. They're like golf shorts.
Oh, okay.
So it's not like I'm wearing I'm not wearing pajama shorts or sweat shorts. I'm wearing legitimate comfortable golf shorts.
Okay.
So I thought I'd be okay. I thought I was going to play around with a bunch of stuff at home. I had a few projects I was hoping to work on, so that didn't happen.
Did anybody notice or say anything to you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But not enough to make you go home.
Oh, no, they
change.
They thought, they're like, well, we figured it's you, Mikey, whatever. I'm like, yeah, but I legitimately wanted to be responsible today. I didn't want it to look like I'm a jerk. And I look like a jerk, so.
What was it, borderline go down to the store and get a pair of pants?
No,
or
nobody
a pair
cared.
Of jeans?
Nobody cared.
Okay.
So, okay, we got a show to do. We got to talk about whether you want to start a fight or whether you want to curl your hair, I guess. But first, we also have divisional football to talk about, along with there's a coaching carousel that's happening. What else we got today, Rich?
We'll be closing the book on the college football playoffs. And we got to look at the Rolex 24, our first race of the of our first official race for the NASCAR Corner, and the Baseball Hall of Fame came out with a familiar name to our that's connected to the Quad Cities, our hometown.
Yep.
Mike, all that and more, but what do we have to do first?
Gotta roll that intro. Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich. And we're back. Okay, Rich, before we get started, like I alluded to, we do have our poll question. So, snowball fight versus curling, and which would you like to do? Or, which have you done? Let's get into it.
I've never seen curling live, only on TV.
Yeah. I want to do it.
So I had to go with something that I've done, so I went with snowball fight.
I so bad want to do it. And they have a tournament going on this weekend, I believe.
If anything, it's shuffleboard on ice.
Yeah, it really yeah, but it's more competitive shuffleboard. Mm-hmm. But I picked snowball fight. I did. As did 84% of our fans. We did have one person, Nathan Ross, who voted for curling. Everybody else voted for snowball fight. So that's me, Ashley Shriepeck, Danielle Hart, Rich Hendricks, and Mark Stewart. Thanks for everybody that participated in this week's poll question. Look for it to go live, or look for this week's poll question, which will be
ice skating versus pond hockey.
Okay. I've actually done both of these ones.
We are assuming that both of these activities are going on outside, which is why, so don't think of it as ice skating being done in an indoor arena, where we are specifying that it is pond hockey.
Yeah.
So we're going out, you're going to be outdoors.
I've done both of these. Hard to pick which one I like more, but we'll do it. Okay, Rich, with that, let's head to the gridiron, as we have to talk about divisional round and what's going on there.
Yeah, and preview our conference championships. All right, so Mike, we had our Texans and the Chiefs. The Texans and the Chiefs were our first matchup. It was, I really messed that one up. The score on that.
Yeah.
The Chiefs won the game.
23 to 14.
23 to 14.
You just mistyped this.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did. Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
And then game number 2 on Saturday was the Commanders and the Lions. And a big upset on this one being that the Commanders won 35 to 21. This was a game I was really wanting to watch, but just did not get a chance to. And in looking through the box score and the line stat of what was going on through the game log, it was an uncharacteristic game for the Lions, with pick sixes, fumbles. It was just not characteristic of what we've seen the Lions do throughout the regular season. So both Mike and I picked the Lions in this one. Sunday's games, the Rams and the Eagles. The Eagles won 28 to 22, and then it was Buffalo and Baltimore, with the Bills winning 27 to 25. So Mike's picks were the Chiefs, the Lions, the Eagles, and the Bills, with my picks going opposite with the Rams and the Ravens. So I think, admittedly, Mike, I think I was trying to chase some points to close the gap and hopefully take over, break even with you going into the conference championship games. In our pick'ems, it was a gamble and it just didn't work out. So that moves my playoff record to 4-6. Mike, you're 5-5. And on our Yahoo pick'em, the standings going into the conference championship games have you up by 3 points. So the best I can do is tie, and that is assuming that when we save our picks in the app, we pick opposite the rest of the way out.
Or that I remember to hit save on the app.
Or if you if you remember to hit save on the app.
Yeah. So, it was a good weekend of football. I totally forgot that the Lions and Commanders played on Saturday, so I totally missed the show and missed watching it, which sucks. But that's a shocking outcome. I think the whole world was shocked at that, and we'll have to see how they do this week as they face off against the Eagles in the AFC Championship. Rich, who you picking?
And there's a part of me that wants to pick the Commanders, as they're a hot team. They're the hot team coming in, but I think the Eagles are the more talented and more experienced. So I'm going to take the Eagles, although I wouldn't be upset if the Commanders stayed hot and rolled into the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was tempted on that too, and I actually think I would prefer the Commanders in the Super Bowl. I think that would be a much more fun story. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think the Eagles are going to make that one, win that one. They did split the season, so it's not somebody trying to beat somebody a third time in the year, which helps both. Actually, I think plays better for the Eagles. But man, it's going to be it's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm kind of excited for that game. And then we have the Chiefs versus the Bills. I know what America wants. And I've said it here, and I've said it for years. The Chiefs have been my second team since Joe Montana went there in the mid-90s. Like, Joe Montana being there was 100% the reason why I followed the Chiefs. If you don't believe me, I actually published a book in the Rock Island Library about me and Joe Montana winning the Super Bowl with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Okay.
And so the Chiefs have always been my second team. And so, yeah, I want the Chiefs. I do. But I would not be upset if the Bills won.
Yeah, I'm going to go Chiefs too.
Okay.
And if anything, if this sets it up being Chiefs-Eagles, it sets up a tough pick when we go to make our Super Bowl pick, because it's either the team that everybody loves to hate because nobody likes the city of Philadelphia, or a team that everybody's tired of seeing winning. And there's all the conspiracies that talk about how the refs are rigged. You can't beat the refs and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Or a team chasing history, whichever way you choose to look at it.
But the Chiefs are a team chasing history. Yeah. And they have the team to do it, so I'm all for it. So
I'll go with the Chiefs.
I'm going with the Chiefs and Eagles.
I'd love to see the Bills in it, but I just don't. I need to stop chasing points, so I'm going to go with that.
Okay. So, Rich, we've gotten a lot of answers on the coaching carousel this week, as all but one team has officially announced their head coach. And in fact, the Cowboys just did it less than an hour ago, from what I've seen. Yeah, less than an hour before we started talking.
That's right. So when we last talked, Mike, we only knew of Mike Vrabel taking the Patriots job. Now that a week has passed in between our shows, the Bears have hired Ben Johnson. The Jets brought back Hall of Famer, or maybe a future team Hall of Famer, in Aaron Glenn, only the second New York Jet to alumni to coach the team. The Jaguars hired Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator from the Buccaneers. The Raiders hired Pete Carroll, and just announced, as Mike was saying, the Cowboys hired Brian Schottenheimer, their offensive coordinator.
That, I think, is the strangest pick. I think that turns into is Jerry Jones coaching the team. We'll talk about the rest of them later. We're going to talk about everybody but Ben Johnson next week, when we're a little lighter on the show. But Ben Johnson, how thrilled are you with Ben Johnson coming to?
Other than, I think, other than Mike Vrabel, with who he's been able to put around him, building up the staff in New England, Ben Johnson was the 1A guy to Mike Vrabel being 1B for me. So I think they made the right call. I like what he said so far, saying that my playbook isn't going to be a carbon copy of what I did in Detroit. We're going to build this up from the ground up, and it's going to fit the skill sets of the players that we have on the roster right now.
And I love that. And I think, again, he one of the things that was great about him is that he actually he knows what the fans want. And the biggest thing, one of his biggest lines from the entire thing is, and I look forward to beating Matt LaFleur twice a year. And tell me a Bears fan that isn't thrilled to hear a head coach saying, I plan on beating the Packers twice a year.
How many times have we heard that, though?
We did, but no. See, I'm not going to push back on that. Most of the time, we don't hear that. The head coaches don't make that a statement. And for Ben to come in and day one say, "This is what my goal is," because I know that's what you want. That's a huge deal. So
I could have swore that was a Nagy or an Eberflus line, but I don't have the receipt, so I will concede that. But that seems to be a common thing, or maybe that was wouldn't have been a Lovie Smith thing of, we're going to beat the Packers. That's the number one goal. That's a lot of what comes out of the introductory press conferences with the new Bears hires is, we're going to beat the Packers.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think Ben Johnson was the right pick. Up until what you said about Josh McDaniels, I had said that I wanted Ben Johnson, and that's who I wanted from the beginning. And I'm happy that they got Ben Johnson, and that's who I was hoping for from the beginning. Vrabel was my 1B, as you called Johnson. Vrabel was my 1B only upon hearing that Josh McDaniels was coming with him. So
I'm glad it's an offensive-minded coach, because if they had hired a defensive guy, then you just would have had to have figured out too much as far as what you're going to do with the offensive side of the ball. So like Mike said, we're going to be talking about the other coaching openings as far as maybe which ones we're kind of scratching our heads on why they made that call, which ones were the best fits. And once we know who is going to be coaching down in New Orleans, as the New Orleans Saints job is still open, and I really haven't seen that much news on it as far as who is going to be even taking that job. There were rumors about with the other openings, but not so much is coming out of the Big Easy. But
yeah, that is crazy to me.
Another day.
That is crazy to me that they've kept that so tight to the chest on just about all the rumors. Everyone else has rumors galore, and New Orleans doesn't. Rich, tell us how the NCAA playoffs went this last week.
All right. So the first NCAA football playoff championship brackets, it was Notre Dame and The Ohio State University. Ohio State ends up winning the game 34-23. I would have to say this is probably, I don't even think that when the bracket was published out and you had the seedings, that this would be the national championship. Both teams obviously didn't win a conference championship. Ohio State coming in second in there, not even coming in second in the Big Ten. I think they were like the third in the Big Ten, because I think Penn State played Oregon. So kind of odd that you have a team that didn't even play in their conference championship game be the national champion, but at the same time, that's why they went to this bracket. So you could have a type of matchup where the hot team wins. And so, but at the same time, not being a college football fan, I didn't watch the game. I was kind of following the stat lines and seeing where the stats were playing and where the scores of the game were as it progressed. But that was about it for me. And I think regardless of who's playing in it, that's probably all it's going to be for me, because I'm just not a college football guy. Not really, you aren't either, Mike. So Mike had to step away from the mic, so we'll just keep the show rolling on. So we are going to go into the NASCAR corner. Actually, did you have any last thoughts on the college football playoff? I said, it was an Ohio State victory. Kind of odd that you had a team that didn't even play in their conference championship game go all the way and win the final matchup.
You know what? I think it's fair to say that's part of the reason why at-large bids are so important in the college playoffs. The fact that they lost to Michigan, though, is a huge deal. And again, I have friends that are Michiganders, I think is what they call them, and they argue regularly that and they've been all posting this week, well, if you can't beat Michigan, you can't be the national champion.
Because they were the previous national champion?
No, not even that. Just the fact that because you can't beat, I don't know. That's the equivalent of saying you essentially have to be undefeated in order to get into the national championship. I don't like that either. But there is something to be said that if you can't win your rival game, can you really be considered national champion? Just a question. But
well, I don't know. If you took a third team from that conference, let's say you take out Michigan, you took out Ohio State because they were essentially the third Big Ten team in that out of the 12. How did the other teams fare in their bowl games?
Yeah,
nobody else really showed up. The people that were saying, "Oh, we got snubbed from the committee," they should have been in this 12-team bracket.
Yeah, the problem with that though is, it's the Big Ten and any sort of tournament. They suck in tournaments. They just do.
But this one won.
A
Big Ten team.
Yeah. Occasionally one will pull something off, but we're getting ready to dance in a month, and do you trust a Big Ten basketball team to do anything more than go out in the first or second round?
No, I don't think so.
So, Anyway, okay, let's go to
The NASCAR corner, Mike.
Yeah.
So do you know what's coming up next, Mike?
is it a left turn?
It is a left turn. What's after that?
We do have a right turn because we're at the road course in Daytona for the NASCAR corner, presented as always by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois. Check them out for all your sports memorabilia needs on 5th Avenue in Moline or on their eBay store. Once again, that is Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated. Rich, we are heading to the 24 Hours of Daytona, a race that puts man, machine, and against sleep and the clock. Doesn't matter how far you go, you just have to go farther than the other guy. You don't have to. There's no set limit of laps. I'm intrigued. Maybe I'll look that up. But Rich, I didn't see any big names in. Oh, I guess there's one big name that I recognize of the two people that we picked, of the two racers that we picked, but no NASCAR names made the field, it looks like.
Well, not in the GP2, not in the GTP series, Mike, but in the, I think it's, I gotta find it here. Wish you would have backed this up pre-show. But I believe that Austin Cindric of Roger Penske Racing and Shane Van Gisbergen are driving it. Yeah, the in the GTP Pro series of vehicles, Austin Cindric is driving a the number 91 Trackhouse car. It's a Corvette. Is going to have Shane Van Gisbergen.
Okay.
As one of the drivers, and Austin Cindric is going to be in a Ford Mustang GT3.
Oh, nice.
So those are the only two NASCAR drivers that are in it, from what I can see. Just
by the way,
quickly scrolling through the list.
By the way, can I point out that I think this would be the spot to have a NASCAR car race in a 24-hour race? They're used to this track. If you're gonna do the 24 hours of Le Mans, why don't we have a NASCAR car in the 24 hours of Daytona?
Or take the car that was in that endurance race last year and put that in this car?
Yes.
Put that in this race?
Yes. 100%. Why is that not a thing?
I don't know.
Like, they think it's important enough to grow the sport to do it for the 24 hours of Le Mans. They're in your backyard. Your biggest race of the year. And yes, you don't want to put Austin Cindric in or one of these other guys. You want to take your retired, take Jimmy Johnson, and do the exact same thing you did last year at Le Mans, but here at Daytona.
So maybe Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, those recently retired guys. This isn't like I could have sworn that somehow like Casey Kane is going to be coming back for a couple of select races.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah, I was really excited about that. I love Casey Kane. Okay, the 56 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 that raced in Daytona. Who drove it? It was it was Garage 56, and they got the pit crew. They show you the pit crew, but I don't see anything for the drivers.
I could have sworn they had Jimmy
Johnson. Oh, here it is.
It.
Jimmy Johnson, Jensen Burton, And that's all and Mike Rockenfeller.
Yeah, guys that have been Rockefeller and Button have come in and been road course ringers in series races too.
Right. Why not bring those guys in, put them in the, like, let's even look. Let's look. We have the list up here. Come on. Fine. You want to make it hard? I am smarter than you. Stupid website.
So anyway, while you're looking that up, Mike, who is your? We've determined that based off of last year's results, because we only look at these types of cars once a year, well, twice a year if you count recapping the race. But we found that it's the
twice a year because we also talk about the 24 hours of Le Mans.
Oh, okay. So that makes it maybe 4. Makes it about 4 when we recap who won. But so we found that it's the GTP 12 cars that tend to have the highest finish. So Mike, which team is your pick to win?
Rich, I am going to pick the number 31.
Okay.
Action Express Racing by Whelan Engineering, Cadillac VLMDH. That is Jack Atkins, Earl Bomber, Frederick Vesti, and Philippe Durandjic.
Okay.
Butchered some of those.
Any reasoning behind it at all?
There's no Americans on it.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah, you can hate me if you want to, but you know.
All right, so I'm gonna go with the number 60 car, which is Acura Meyer Shank Racing, with Tom Bloomquist, Colin Braun, Scott Dixon, and Felix Rundquist.
Yeah. So Mike Rockefeller, I did find. He's the only one of those 3 that are racing, and he's racing with Austin Cindric. Why not take? And it's a Ford Mustang. You could have done one of the homologated Ford Mustangs from NASCAR and done it that way. I'm sorry. It bothers me that this is not, like, why not do it in Daytona?
So I went with the number 60 mostly because it's an Acura, and being a Honda guy, Acura is just an overpriced Honda, and I recognize Scott Dixon. So.
Okay, that's a legit one there.
Yep. So next week, Mike, we get our first NASCAR race, as it'll be the Cookout Clash at Bowman Gray Stadium down in North Carolina. So with that race, we'll reiterate it next week as well, but that will be a bonus point only race between the two of us. With if our driver that we pick to win wins, we start the NASCAR season with a 1-point advantage. If neither of our picks win, it is just going to determine who gets to pick their driver first for the Daytona 500. And with the Daytona 500 being on February 16th, be watching on our social media feeds, and hopefully for a link on the podcast description, as well as on the YouTube site, for a link to join our Fantasy NASCAR League, where you can play along with Mike, myself, and our friend Solo Stroop, to see which of your NASCAR picks on a weekly basis can finish with the most points. So once NASCAR decides to bring that back online for the 2025 season, we'll make sure to talk about that in our episode that week, to tell you how Fantasy NASCAR works, and hopefully get more than just the 3 of us.
Yeah.
for the upcoming season.
Yeah, I'm going in to see about do they have it set up yet?
I believe on the app it still shows Phoenix.
February 11th.
February 11th is the go live date.
So we will be going live February 11th. Okay. Put that on the calendar.
I will do that. I still don't get I still just don't get it as to why you'd want the go live date to be
3 days,
essentially a week before the first race. Because how long do you, we play fantasy football together, Mike. How early do you start getting emails from Yahoo where it says, send an email to your commissioner to remind him to renew your league for the upcoming league?
Yeah.
Or there's already, or how early in the preseason of football do you get stuff already telling you to join a league now? Join a league now.
Do you know Fantrax at all?
I'm sorry?
Have you ever heard of Fantrax?
I have not.
They have
Is that a different one?
They have a NASCAR Commissioner League that we can set up. Or do we stay with the NASCAR one?
I would be up for trying a different app, but I will probably still go through the NASCAR. Go through it. As long as it's an app on my phone that I can work with, I would be willing to try a different service.
Well, I don't have an Apple phone, so I can't tell you, but I can.
Let's workshop that idea off air and keep the show rolling.
Sorry, I'm already looking.
Okay. So more to come on that once we've decided what platform we're going to use for Fantasy NASCAR. We'll go over the rules, how you can join our league that we'll put out for our show, and we'll make sure to get the information on that into the show descriptions on YouTube, Facebook, and in the podcast land. All right, so with that, Mike, that is the NASCAR Corner this week, presented by Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated, Moline, Illinois, and you can also find them on eBay. Triple I Sports Cards Incorporated.
So,
Mike, news.
You did kind of hint though, and we didn't ever we never talked about it, but Casey Kane is coming back to NASCAR for a few races. And with him, he's bringing a sponsor with him.
Oh?
Yeah, have you not heard this?
No, I haven't.
So from my understanding, he's bringing Red Bull back to NASCAR.
You know what? I did remember seeing that. It's going to be, Red Bull is going to sponsor 5 of Shane Van Gisbergen's Cup races. And I think it's going to be could have swore it was Connor Zilich, I think, in the Xfinity series.
Something like that.
So yeah, Red Bull is going to be coming back to NASCAR, I guess.
Yeah, huge things for NASCAR. I mean, both of those are huge. So apparently he's going to do Xfinity series at Rockingham. That's the only one that I'm seeing right now.
I think it was just a one-off race. I don't think it was a full slate from what I remember.
But still, that is awesome. Casey Kane. So for those that don't know, Casey Kane actually left NASCAR because of health issues. And if I remember correctly, it was no, that was the other guy. That was
Ryan Newman?
No.
Casey Kane was before my time as a NASCAR fan, but I recognize the name.
Da, 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 da. Yeah, he was who a lot of people thought. He was one of those up and coming guys that everybody thought was going to be huge, and then just dropped off like out of nowhere in the. I want to say 2007, 2000, something like that. No, he was still in it in 11, 13 to 17. So he raced until 17. And I think it was because of blood clots, but I don't remember. He either had blood clots or he had I thought it was blood clots, but I don't remember all the way.
Gotcha. So anything else on the...
Oh, no. So what happened was he had a really bad heat exhaustion in 2018 at Darlington Motor Speedway. And after that, he just essentially said he needed to step down for health reasons. And then... ended up he had a 15-year career. Like the guy, yeah. Wow, I thought it was something else. I thought it was like I said, I thought it was blood clots, but that was Brian Vickers. Brian Vickers has a lot of blood clot issues. Yeah. But, okay. Now that we've solved those answers, let's leave the NASCAR corner as you already have. Let's talk about, we're going to talk about the baseball diamond. Right? Is that where you wanted to go?
That's right. Yeah. Because we got the Hall of Fame announced the newest inductees going into the Cooperstown, and it will be Ichiro Suzuki, who missed being an ununanimous Hall of Famer by one vote.
I hate that guy. Tell me, here's the thing. Sorry, let's finish it up. We'll finish it up. We'll talk about it.
CC Sabathia.
Buffet? The Buffet King? No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking Prince Fielder.
Okay.
Sorry.
And former Quad City River Bandit Billy Wagner. This will be the second year in a row that a former River Bandit has gone into Cooperstown, as Joe Mauer made it last year. So, Mike, what do you have to say about the with the one voter choosing to not select Ichiro on the ballot?
Why wouldn't you? Tell me in his heart of hearts that he truly doesn't believe that Ichiro is a Hall of Famer.
If I remember correctly, when you were voting a writer who is eligible to vote for the Hall of Fame, you can only select so many people on your ballot. Maybe the train of thought is that Ichiro doesn't need my vote. Regardless, I can put my vote to somebody else to maybe keep somebody on the ballot that needs to vote. But yeah, you're correct. There was no doubt that he was going to be the first Japanese-born player to make the Baseball Hall of Fame, without a doubt.
Well, I'm bringing up the ballot right now. Okay. bringing up the ballot because so we know those three, okay? The rest of the ballot. Chase Utley.
No.
Carlos Beltran.
I'm going to go no. I don't think he had any postseason awards or individual awards that would make him a Hall of Famer.
Andrew Jones.
Yes.
Okay. Alex Rodriguez.
Yes.
Andy Pettitte.
Yes.
Manny Ramirez.
Yes. But I
Felix
also don't
Hernandez.
take into consideration the steroids.
Are you sure? Sure.
So I would say yes. Yes, they're Hall of Famers.
Bobby Abreu.
No.
Jimmy Rollins.
No.
How many are you allowed to vote for? How does it, because now I want to find out. We've already had someone unanimously go in. What did Ichiro not do to get in the Hall of Fame?
Okay. An elector will vote for no more than 10 candidates deemed worthy of election. So on your ballot, you can only vote for 10 players.
Okay, I read you off 3/4 of those people. Oh, here we go. Here's the entire ballot, okay? I'm going to read you everybody that's currently on the ballot. The X's means they... Okay, and some of these are guys that are going off for the rest of... Whoa. That seems ridiculous, but apparently that's accurate. Okay, I'm going to read you. So you had Ichiro, CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner, Carlos Beltran, Andrew Jones, Chase Utley, Alex Rodriguez, Manny Ramirez, Andy Pettitte, Felix Hernandez, Bobby Abreu, Jimmy Rollins, Omar Vasquez, Dustin Pedro, Mark Bueller, Francisco Rodriguez, David Wright, Torrey Hunter. Have you gotten to 10 that you're going to vote for yet?
All right. So I'm taking the indication that I know that Ichiro is going to get in and does not need my vote, and I only got 10 votes.
Okay.
Just looking over the list.
I'm gonna send you the site I'm looking at, because I think this site has it very nicely put together. I don't understand these X's here, but that's okay. Oh, these are people eligible. Some of them are first time eligible. They only put 18 people on. Is what I'm seeing. Yeah. So a group of these guys, X means off ballot for future election. I don't understand why.
Okay, so when if a player who's their first time on the ballot receives less than 5% of the vote, they drop off. They are no longer considered for Hall of Fame. So Ben Zobrist,
Okay.
0 votes.
Okay.
He has dropped off. So if any point during their 10 years on the ballot, like Billy Wagner was on his last year on the ballot.
Right. I knew that part. And I just saw what you're talking about.
So Tory Hunter, who got 20 votes, is at 5.1%. He stays on the ballot another year. But next year, let's say with new people coming onto the ballot, the percentages of people that leave him off of their Hall of Fame ballot and he drops down below the list, even though he would be on his 6th year of eligibility, he would be off and he would not be eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Okay, I'm putting it out here right now. On this list, okay, can you come up with 10 guys that in the top 18 would you vote for Tory Hunter? If I'm giving you 10 votes, are you going to vote for Tory Hunter?
Okay, so my while we were debating here would be my votes here. I would go Billy Wagner, Andrew Jones, a guy that's coming up on his last year on the ballot. I think has some Hall of Fame numbers. I'd go the steroid people that nobody else would people go with A-Rod, Manny, Andy Pettitte. Felix Hernandez was a really good, dominant starting pitcher for a good stretch and has multiple Cy Youngs. Dustin Pedroia was a key member of those Red Sox teams. I'll go Mr. Met, David Wright. And I got 3 more. And so I'll throw on Chase Utley.
So you're saying you wouldn't
Troy
vote?
Tulowitzki, and I'll go.
So what you're telling me is
about
you wouldn't vote for Ichiro?
I probably would, knowing if I had a vote, I wouldn't probably go that route of saying, well, I know this guy's going to get in, so let's take my 10 votes. Let's take my 10 votes and go somewhere else. But I've also heard...
Because if you give Ben Zobrist a vote, what good did you do?
You didn't. Nothing.
If you give anybody...
One vote doesn't get anybody.
If you give anybody that's below 5%...
But you don't know that. You don't know that it's the 5% until all the votes are tabulated. But I've also heard of people turning in a ballot with just voting for not using all 10 of their votes and just turning in a ballot with 3 names on it.
Yeah.
Or if they feel nobody's worthy of their vote, they vote for the one player out of the list that they think is a Hall of Famer, and that's it. They don't vote for the rest of they don't use the rest of their ballot.
Why would you not? Ichiro deserved this by far and away. Should have been unanimous. I would argue CC Sabathia probably deserved to be in the 90th percentile.
To me, I don't know if CC Sabathia's whole of a career says a first ballot Hall of Famer, but I think he's a Hall of Famer. Maybe not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but a Hall of Famer.
I have no one in the history of anything will ever be able to explain to me why Ichiro was not unanimous. That is one guy saying, I don't want to do it.
Here's another thing I could give you, Mike. How many World Series rings did Ichiro Suzuki win?
Okay.
So he never was a World Series champion.
Yeah. He was loyal.
But he was an MVP.
He was loyal to one team.
He's a record holders.
By that, how many World Series rings does Griffey Jr. have?
He has none. And he wasn't an ununanimous Hall of Famer.
I'm just saying.
He was the first ballot, but he wasn't the only.
I think he
Ununanimous
should
Hall
have.
of Famer was Mariano Rivera.
The only unanimous Hall of Famer is Mariano Rivera. You are correct. But a lot of it has to do with this. Nobody deserves to be unanimous.
Yeah, and I can agree with that.
Like, you agree that nobody deserves to be unanimous? Or you deserve that that's the only...
No, that would be the only reason for somebody knowingly not voting for him, so he doesn't have that achievement next to his name, that he was named on 100% of the ballots.
Look at the numbers. By the way, he also is the first guy to open up Japan to America. Like, his fame was huge. The guy deserved unanimity or whatever. He deserved to be a unanimous vote.
So, but unfortunately, you'll never know who voted for that, who decided not to leave, who left him off his ballot, because the ballots are not public.
I think
they do not publish who voted for who.
I think they should be. But that's just me. Okay, Rich. We do have news on The Masked Singer, as Masked Singer is coming back on February 12th. Set your DVRs / get ready for Hulu the next day, or however you watch it. Be ready, because that's like 2.5 weeks away. So mark your calendars for that. Be excited. We did win in esports yesterday. We handled it pretty well. These next 2 weeks are going to be the biggest test for our team in the regular season, as we play Iowa Falls, an undefeated team, and we play OACIGBTW ? Hashtag who knows. I call them alphabet soup. Here, I'm gonna bring it up. I'm gonna bring it up because this is OABCIG. OABCIG. Or as I call them.
What does that stand for?
I don't have a clue. Odebolt, Arthur, Battle Creek, Ida Grove.
So is that a whole bunch of little towns that couldn't decide what to name their school? So
I know Ida Grove. I know where that is. I know Battle Creek. I don't know Odebolt, Arthur. But yeah, I mean it's.
So is that kind of like a United Township type of school, to where it's
so Battle Creek, Odebolt.
The school is in,
and
the school is in the
Grove.
big city, but it filters in other smaller from the other smaller towns coming in.
So they are all they're all a bunch of smallish towns. So Odebolt is a town. Odebolt, Arthur, Battle Creek, and Ida Grove. They are all towns. They are south of Cherokee. So they're about 2 hours south of here. An hour and a half. They're an hour and a half south of here. So, yeah. Maybe I should know who they are. They don't care. We just need to beat them. If we can beat two of these teams if we can beat both these teams, I feel good. Otherwise, we have to play Iowa Falls, which that's a huge one for us. That one's gonna be. That's the battle of the undefeateds right now. So. Yeah.
All right, Mike. So as we close out the show, do you have any shout-outs this week?
I thought I did, but I don't know. I'm going to go with no.
No, I don't think I have any either.
Okay.
All right, Mike. So they're listening to us out in podcast land, but they'd like to see our nice faces and join in the conversation in the comment line on the live comment feed on. Where can they find that, Mike?
Rich, I've made it actually quite a bit easier, as it is now youtube.com/@ballsandsticks.
Okay.
That's all it is. That's all you got to do. So /@balls, and I think I even took the number off. Yeah, that's all you got to do to find us now. It's easy to find us. So that should help a bit.
Yeah, and if you have found us over on YouTube, make sure to ring the bell so you can be notified of when our live videos are posted and go live, as well as like and comment. Help the show reach more people. And Mike, if they're seeing us on YouTube either live or at a later date, and they just want to have the audio portion, where can they find their show, Mike?
Anywhere where you find your own podcasts. Normally I get them up pretty close to the same time. I don't know if I got last week's up, but I'll try to get at least last week's and this week's up here in the next few minutes. And yeah, with that, Rich, people want to participate in our poll question. Where can they do that?
Look us up on Facebook at Fans of Balls and Sticks, or look for Mike or I. Yeah. As we normally share the polls.
Yep.
So, Mike, with all that being said, what's it time to do?
I did the intro.
Oh, I was letting you have both this week, but all right. Go ahead and roll the outro, Mike.
Broadcasting live from somewhere in Iowa. This is Balls and Sticks, the podcast, with your hosts, Mike and Rich.